All right. Let's see if we're live or not. Now, let me see here. Good. Hopefully. All right. So I apologize that I've been edging and teasing y'all since I had this originally planned for like 45 minutes ago. But I was on the way here because, like, you better not going to miss the last stream for the season. Okay, we're gonna be here at least an hour. I'll answer everything you guys want. I'll show you whatever you want because this is the last race. I just have to do one thing. I need to add the practice laps to my sheet since I was not at my place last night or yesterday. I had my practice laps on another sheet that I was just having it fill out based on abnormally distributed data, and I have not added to my sheet. Now I already have the projections and everything done, but I just need to add this to my sheet really fast. I just got home, so I apologize that I'm doing this live. And during the whole drive home, I was like pushing back the stream like by 5-10 minutes, right? So that is the only thing I'm doing right now, which we'll do that together here. And to give some backstory, thank you very much. And I'll look through the chat in a moment. Let's go ahead and share the screen. Let me make sure I got. Let's see. So there's that. Here's this quick rundown, for example, of how we've approached, or at least my stuff has approached it this weekend. This is for the truck race on Friday. Thought it was a toss-up between Ty Majeski and Corey Heim. This is where I was at on Friday. This is where I was yesterday on stuff. Highest two projected guys, Allgaier and Eric Amarola, with Creed and Herbst being the next plays. So as we move over to today, as we are working on this, which, like I said, I just want to fix this for visual context. We have seen between Majeski and Riley Herbst, the driver that had the best average speed in practice in the hour-long practice that each individual series has had, that has been the race winner, and drivers that have shown a lot of speed in long run and specifically just in practice in general. Like if you are showing speed in practice, you are most likely leaning to being very fast in the race. All right, so let's go ahead and delete these bad boys. And yet again, sorry I'm doing this live, but we're going to do it live here. What are we doing here? Why did it take that? Yikes. Why did it do all that? You know, my keyboard does not work fully, so why is it doing that? Can I go back this way? Cool. Nice. There we go. All right. Now, one last thing. Yet again, that. I know you guys have like your football stuff going on, but I do not play the main slate, so I do not pay any attention to that at all. We're going to sort this by that. This might take actually forever. But just because I want to see this, since we're going to be here and talk all evening. Now I know what you could be saying. You could just set, another conditional format to limit and remove any of the colors that are above, like, lap time, like 32 seconds or whatever. But I like going through here and individually doing that because, like, this 40 needs to be removed, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. And this gives you guys time to ask questions or whatever. And this didn't take me too long last night when I did it on my other thing. So I'm doubting that it will be. Past that, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in week in and week out. I think I missed maybe 5 shows this year, which that's a lot for me. I typically don't miss that many shows, so I do apologize. Actually, no. 1, 2, 3. It was 5 shows with Atlanta, with the 2 Atlanta weekends. So I missed 5 shows additionally from that. So I do apologize for that. That is usually not my standard. And then, and yet again, since I was not here and I'm not using my data here, that's the only reason why I'm having to do this, because typically whenever I just run my scraper, all this is done for me. So I do apologize. But it'll make looking at this data way easier, I promise. We're almost done. How is... Yeah, I can't believe I just edged you guys for like 45 minutes to just stare at me like just delete data off the screen. I apologize profusely for that. As I talk out loud, we can talk the championship 4 of how I think they're going to play into it. We've already seen Logano complain quite a lot about the Chevys interrupting. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was Logano. A lot of games being played. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Am I done? Yeah, just the top guys left. Booyah, we're freaking finished, dude. Freaking finished. Pretty sure I moved all the 40s that I wanted, but we will see. All right, we're missing one. Missing one somewhere. Got some 40s in there. I'll leave those for now. Here it is. Okay, so the reason why I do this, or at least usually why I have it automated to do this, is because now we're not wasting time, and I can keep the long run laps in. Like typically, like I'm gonna leave these 30s in because like this is what Chad's running, right? Like that's his worst speed. We typically want to keep the driver's worst laps in. Even no, this is Hamlin probably pitting. May have missed pit lane there. I don't see anything out of the ordinary. All right, let's do this again. Resort. Wrong way. All right, so here we are. Long time to get here, but we look at these drivers, and you see anybody with a P next to their name, that is the playoff driver still in the playoffs. So it's your championship 4 guys. We see Blaney, Byron, Reddick, and Logano all in the top 10 in speeds. We see Blaney and Logano going pretty much head to head here. When we're looking at the slight change between the average of Blaney and Logano. Now, yet again, precedent being set just this weekend, and almost more aggressively. Now I was really shocked that Majeski's ownership was lower than Corey Heim because he had way better track data entering. I mean, we went over that during the live show on Friday. I couldn't believe that. And he had the best speed in practice. Like, that makes no sense. So when we look at Blaney and Byron here, we're seeing that their times are pretty similar. We isolate them and not look at anybody else. I mean, we're seeing that they're pretty much running identical times, just give or take. You know, if they had traffic in front of them, like this 8 came out of nowhere, probably in traffic or a bad line or whatever from Byron. And then we're going to have some of those with Blaney as well. I mean, this is just in the runs of where he's running consistent 4s, probably gets into traffic, past somebody or around somebody in practice, starts running 7s. And I mean, this is late in a run too. I do not have a particular favorite between these two. Now, you know, to win the championship, when we look at DFS and stuff, and we look at the starting grid here, Truex, wait a minute. I'll see all these sheets that I had to friggin' make last night. Truex starting first on the pole, not playing, just not going to play. I think this is literally the same story as last weekend for Martinsville. I think that was a great fade. Now he sped in pit lane. That was a bit aggressive. I didn't think it needed to be like that big of a fuck up that he would have. But there's no way I'm playing Truex on the pole in its last race. There's no way I'm doing that. I want to isolate Chastain, Larson, and Elliott really fast before we get to Logano and Byron, because I think they're going to be probably the front runners here. When we look at Chastain, Larson, and Elliott, we look at Larson's in the top 4. We look at Elliott is here as 12 fastest, and we look at Ross. Now, for me, you know, we're looking at 312 laps at Phoenix. A lot of lap leaders most likely going to be in this race. We look at, you know, potential place differential, and we see, you know, quite a few guys in the 20s. But for the most part, what is my stuff actually showing really fast? Let me make sure I don't get anything too crazy over here. Let me just make sure. Let me look through everything. Yada, yada, yada. All right, cool. All right, so when I'm looking at this race here, I'm flat out not playing Chastain. The reason being is I'm not seeing any speed here that would indicate that he can even compete to hold on to the lead rather. Especially here at Phoenix, we see that speeds are pretty indicative of where people are going to end up running in the race. Now, yet again, this is averages, but when you're, you know, the 19th fastest guy in practice and you're competing directly against the people who are literally running, if not, let's see, I know these guys ran 40 laps. We have Chastain who ran, you know, similar laps to the guys ahead, or, you know, everybody roughly ran like 46 laps between the people we're looking at. And we're seeing that he's 3/10 slower on average between all these laps. Like, that just seems unplayable for me. When I'm looking at where I'm at here, let me make sure my face isn't on here or in the way. Like, this is what I'm working with today, right? I think between the guys up top, and yet again, this is, you know, a very aggressive way to approach things. This is just how I do stuff. Is I think Larson, Byron. Let me see where Reddick is really fast here. Pretty sure Reddick is up there in 5-lap averages that I was actually liking based on restarts. F5s. And slightly more laps. When I'm looking at what I'm looking at here is I think Larson, I think William Byron, I think Reddick are probably the guys you want to focus on. I think Blaney as well. We see Blaney as literally probably the fastest car on track. Had a bad queue starting 17th. I think it'll be very easy for Blaney to drive his way up into the field. Like when I'm building lineups and stuff based on all this, like now I think Larson probably competes probably more so than what we would expect him to, or at least based on my stuff. Because he's Larson at Phoenix. Larson's very, very good at Phoenix. When we're not running into blowing tires and shit. But we look at the advantage of where people are starting. We see that, like, I'm not playing Truex. Logano's slow, straight up. He's going to need help to win the championship, whatever. We see Chastain is here. Okay. We see Larson starting second outside lane. There's a real possibility that now, yet again, we're going to all fan out and get stupid into turn one and stuff. And yet again, this is a 312 lap race. But I think between the guys starting up front, Larson and Elliott probably have the best starting positions to compete for these laps led, especially when you look at Truex, Logano, and Chastain compared to Larson. So we're looking at Truex, who is like, I'm just not playing Truex on principle. There's just no data shows third best car. You know, we look back at last week, started on the pole, had a good car. I just think Truex colossally fucks this race up. I just don't foresee him winning in his last race. I don't foresee him having a good race. So that's my view. Okay. We look at where Larson is. We look at where Ross Chastain is. We look at where Logano is. I think between the top four guys, Larson has the best car. I think he has a real chance of leading early and maintaining the track position in this race. When we look at the nerf that NASCAR made to that number one pit box, which I think is a pretty good decision they end up making. Also, we are an hour and 24 minutes away till the start of the slate. When we look at the pit data, or not pit data, but pit road selection here, you got Byron. Where is I like Larson, number one pit stall. Number one pit stall here now, or 41st pit stall, however you want to look at it. I was looking at now, yet again, was this because the fastest car happened to be there yesterday, or was it just the fact that this pit stall is slightly on par? Now, my old thought process was when we're looking at the pit road and the curvature of Phoenix, the no more pit stall was like goated, right? But I didn't necessarily know if the if like having pit stall, 17, 15, 10, or 9 had better outcomes for people. Like Blaney's in 10. I think 10's a pretty good pit stall. I think 17's a really good pit stall. But Larson at 40, at starting or having the 41st pit stall as soon as you enter pit lane, that's usually a really, 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 really good pit stall for Phoenix. That's where Herbst was yesterday. Now, I don't think it was, pit lane giving Herbst the win or anything. But I think him being in this pit stall is pretty important. Let's X out of the Truck Xfinity stuff. As I continue down, like when I'm, ranking people that I would think do well. Now, yet again, number one pit stall has been nerfed, and Allgaier did not do any help yesterday on the pit lane at all, but that was his pit crew, not necessarily pit stall. Number one pit stall for Byron starting 8th gives you, like, by definition, like 4 place differential spots, because realistically, now, yet again, last year, Chastain won it late. But for the most part, we're probably going to have a majority of the final 4 in the top 5 or top 6 all day. When we start ranking those individuals, we then look at the place differential that they offer and the upside that they offer in terms of speed, with Blaney, Reddick, Byron all starting outside of the top 7. Byron having number 1 pit stall. Reddick being, where are we at in practice here? I don't remember where. I think he's like 10th, 8th. We're seeing Reddick here between like Reddick and Blaney. Now, this is Blaney, not getting a lot of laps led. We're being, at least for me, I try and, because if you like, if you're like, oh, fucking Larson runs away with this bitch, and you put him for like 185, the projections just get distorted, right? So you can't I typically don't work with like a percentage of the race either. Like I just work well within, like, the 312 laps or whatever. And head to head between Blaney and Reddick, they're pretty similar. Now, yet again, this is giving Reddick, the advantage of starting up front and leading laps. This is practically giving, Blaney no laps. And so I would argue that this is like the better play between Reddick and Blaney is probably Blaney. This is him basically practically doing nothing. We get this back down to probably a more realistic projection, and you see, he's beating Reddick a majority of the time. So anyway, what does this mean in terms of, building lineups and stuff? We need to go ahead and throw this in the Saber Sim, and I'll check chat in a moment. Yet again, sorry I'm all discombobulated, but I just got back home. Typically I have all this stuff fucking squared away before. Let's just do this from scratch. Let's load. Let's hope the NFL bros aren't completely destroying, everything going on. What the hell is that? Let's see, we go there. We go there. Now, yet again, through Saber Sim, my projections will already show up here. So, like, let's just say, why are my projections not showing up yet? I mean, we have sheets of stuff. Why is my stuff not here? Uploaded last night. It's on the site. Do I have the IDs wrong? That'll be something we have to fix later during the off season. I have not had issues with that. Anyway, typically you can just go here, go to mine. We're just going to upload my stuff really fast. And again, I don't use, we'll call this Cruise with a Z. That's the projection source. We'll build these lines, and I mainly want to use this just to see what we're projecting for the top rated lines here. Now, yet again, I've been on the road. I haven't done, really anything in terms of looking at these lineups and stuff. So like values and stuff, this will probably answer, or we'll get to those points there. Let me check chat while this kind of loads and does its own thing. I'll put this back here. All right, here we are. We'll talk about Priest in a moment. Thank you, Pete, for being here. Thank you very much for watching. Like I said, guys, I do apologize. I missed, more shows this year than normal. But the fact that I think it's me, Chris Pinnell, Fast Cars, Fast Money, the big 3 who like stayed with it all year again. Like yet again, every year, I think Shipping Nation kept putting out videos as well, but who watches those? every year come February, we have like 23 different sites, doing videos and stuff. I think Taco at DFS Army still does behind the wall stuff. We have all these, channels and stuff doing NASCAR, and then they just deteriorate like every month, or like you get like new independent creators doing NASCAR, then they get to like April and they're like, oh, this is boring and hard, and they stop doing it. So thank you guys for being here. We'll talk about McDowell, Zane. We'll talk about all that at the end. And yeah, dude, I was edging you guys for like 45 minutes when I was pushing this back. Ryan, Bell's either going to try and win this race or wreck out. Okay, now that made way more sense in the lower series. Okay, I think that would be one of the dumbest things Bell could do. That's where I'm at. At the moment, now yet again, this is now, since I don't really focus on the finishing positions, like, I mean, I just have this is answering Sterling's, like, oh, Blaney wins. I don't know who I have for the race winner. I know I don't have Blaney. I think I have Blaney plus 17, so that's 7th right now. It's going to be projected at 7. I also have it here, but this isn't very accurate. I have Larson winning right now with Reddick, Byron 4th. I got Blaney in 6th. I mean, if you sort it that way, I mean, this is what I would have as the finishing order. To answer your question there, Sterling, I think it's Larson. I really do think it's Larson. But we've seen like unprecedented stupid shit in the championship race. Like, dude, what is that? Absolutely cheating up that 7 car. What are we talking about here, dude? What did you guys hear AJ over the radio during that race? He was like, dude, we're getting fucking passed by backup cars. What are we doing? Like, what? Dude, what? Like, why are some of these guys like drastically faster? And it's always championship 4 guys. So like, in terms of like speed, I think Blaney's probably the real favorite. I think okay, like, I mean, I have Larson for first. I think the real favorites are Blaney, Byron, and then Larson. I think Blaney would probably be the best one. Blaney or Byron. Like, I think it's a toss up between those two of who actually wins the race between those guys there. Let's see what SaberSim is saying. So this is using my stuff. Yeah, I don't even know how many. Are we full? Big rip. 4's full, 1's full, 15's almost filled. We're all over the place. I'm not even concerned about entering a lot of lines today. I just want to get this stupid race over with. I want to get this stupid fucking season over with. But typically, this is what I use to look through my stuff. So, like, my highest projected lineup based on my stuff is Byron, Larson, Buescher, Kyle Busch, Bowman, Derek Kraus. I think that's a pretty decent line. Clearly, that'd probably be one that I would play typically on a week by week basis. Now we're going to have a lot of Larson paired with probably Byron here. So yet again, whenever you use my stuff, and even what I do is I personally don't just go through. Actually, can I move where I'm at on Restream? I can. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. We're going to no, never mind. Why did it let me do that? Never mind. I lied. So let's go here and get me out of the view so I'm not just blocking the lines, right? Let's just ruin this slate for everybody, right? So typically what I do is like this is one I would not play because the way my projections work is like it's not going to pan out this way. This is just kind of how I rank people and like build from there. So like I would probably run this line, right? This would be my like Byron and Larson line. What I would then start looking at is what are these lineups looking like when we focus on Blaney and say like Byron or something, clearly projecting very low based on projected stuff. But what is this? So we're getting a lot of Chase Elliott's. That's probably, what is this looking like? So like this would probably, well, I guess Dylan starts last. Got a lot of Keselowski, place difference come through. I honestly don't mind Derek Kraus. He's 4,800. He's in the Collie car, if I'm not mistaken. Let me go ahead and check. He might not even be there. Hold on, because I know we got he might be the 50. No, it's Jeb. Where is 26th? Yeah, he is in the Collie car. So I'm perfectly fine with like Derek Krause at 4,800. But these are like lineups that I'd probably build or like be interested in if I was running, Blaney, and these would be the examples that I would run with like if I was running Byron and stuff. And let's focus on like what it would be if I, did Blaney and Larson together, which I think makes a lot of sense here. Still wanting to put Byron in there. So I would either both look at those and judge them or not. This is pushing like Chase Elliott stuff in, but like Blaney, Reddick, Larson, Kyle Busch, I would change probably these two goobers. But like, hey, man, that makes a lot of sense. What is that looking like? We have, you know, two championship four guys in here. Potential main lap leader that I would look at is in Larson. Okay, what are these lineups going with? Like, we're not playing Burton starting ninth, but the Bubba Wallace, it's Levin, Jimmy Johnson. Is it just based on pricing? What I got Jimmy at? I got Jimmy at 18th. Guess I do. What does it look like without Jimmy? Yeah, see, these are too aggressive. Also, this reiterates of why, you know, yet again, when I'm building lineups and looking through things, and I'm like, hey, what is the best lineup I can build with Larson, Reddick, Blaney based on my own stuff? We built 5,000 lineups here. I have a grand total of one, two, three. I have three lineups. Okay. Now, this does not mean these are the only three lineups I can build with these individual drivers. This is just what's in the pool. So if I was really like diehard adamant about, playing Blaney, Reddick, and Larson together, I would then just open another build 5,000 of those three so I could compare of how those guys do, or I would just hand build on the side on the DraftKings thing. And yet again, this is a 312 lap race. When we compare my stuff to SaberSim, who's drastically different in terms of projections and stuff? So like Blaney's the highest there. They're higher on Logano. Oops. Wait a minute. Yeah. There's slightly, I mean, and I usually take SaberSim's average as a pretty good indicator. Same thing with like, we'll throw sheets in here as well so I can kind of, yeah, sure, whatever. I don't give a shit. We look at where Sheets has people ranked. It has his Blaney, Byron, Larson, Bell, Logano, Hamlin, Reddick, Elliott, Truex, right? So yet again, SaberSims is more of a mean. I would argue Sheen's is more of a mean. Still have a data set that I would use, whereas mine is like a hard projected number. But we don't see a lot of changes between. I mean, you'll see guys like bump up and down, but we don't see a lot of changes directly between, projections and stuff. So there's not one driver really outside of Ryan Blaney that's indicated by projections that he's going to be like the slam dunk play of the slate or whatever, right? So whenever I'm looking at that, that seems to me like, hey, I might want to be aggressive in terms of trying to nail the lap leader correctly because Blaney's being juiced up by his place differential, his practice speed, his likelihood that he's going to finish in the top five, in any, you know, projection source or whatever the case may be. So then again, like that's usually how I get different. Because like if we're running, like we'll run like SaberSim stuff really fast, right? We'll run with SaberSim. We'll just boop these little gremlins down. And I want to see the comparison that SaberSim, and you can use that for any projection source you're using, whether it's Roto Grinders, Fantasy Labs, the site with an S that shall not be named due to legal reasons. Whatever projection source you're using, like, hey, yet again, we look at projected score and we see that, hey, this is leaning Truex, Chastain based on pricing, but then it's leaning Logano. And I always just like to look at the highest projected lineups that are being given based on the stuff. And yet again, that's the top 1,000 here. So like their exposure is like literally nothing on Byron, right? Like their expected ownership is nothing. Their exposure in the not only in the actually where's Byron at here? He's 15. So not only in my 1,000 lineups or the top 1,000 lineups based on Saberson's projected stuff, like he's like 15%. He's only 22 in the whole 5,000, or he's 15 in the top in the 1,000 here, only 15 in the entire pool. So like they're leaning, hey, Truex is going to smash, Logano's going to smash, and you're going to want to play Blaney. Okay, so Blaney makes a lot of sense, right? Like we got a lot of things saying you should probably play Blaney, you know. But Blaney's outcomes seem pretty likely that he's going to score high. Okay, but then personally, I don't want to play top three guys, right? So yet again, I just want to see if I start removing the two guys that I'm liking, where do they go? They then start going Byron, Larson, Byron, Larson, Chastain, Byron Bell, Byron Larson. So in my head, all I've done is removed the guy starting first and second, right? That's including any potential laps led or whatever that they might get from their starting positions. Who is popping up in the highest projected lineups, despite the fact he may not show a lot of exposure in these? That's William Byron. That's Kyle Larson. Okay. So, and yet again, this is me kind of just going deeper, explaining why I look at certain things or why, my stuff leans certain ways when like the mean or other sites might not do that. Because yet again, like I don't think 51 is a terrible projection. That's given Logano, -4, so that's finishing 6 with 47 laps led, 13 fast laps. I mean, that's a pretty well-rounded projection. That's nothing to shake a stick at, especially when Logano is certainly not one of he's 10th fastest in the entire practice, and you look at him compared to like leave who's it? Truex, Chastain. So leave Truex. Where is Ross? Where the fuck is Ross? He's right here. He's 20th. You look at these guys head to head, right? Like this is isolating the highest projected guys. And I'm like I said, I'll use SaberSim just because that's what we're looking at. But even on like Sheets' stuff, I'm not saying that's right or wrong. That's just me going through and looking at these data points and stuff. We look at Sheets is lower on them too. So I guess this real comparison will be between SaberSim stuff. So we look at Logano and Truex based on practice times. We already know that Blaney and Byron are the fastest guys, right? Like the clear as day. But you see, like this is a pretty substantial decrease. Am I missing somebody down here? Why is Chastain like full red? Is that just the men here? I guess so. Like, yeah. Really do be that way. There's a pretty substantial like change here. There's a pretty substantial change in the speed here, And then now that we're looking at these drivers' individual lap times, we can then, take that 29 out. We'll take this out. Now you might argue, hey, Truex and Logano ran way longer. That's hurting their average by a substantial amount. So then we can then go and compare the short times, the what the hell are they called? The averages. Do I want to get it from NASCAR? Do I want to show you the? No, I'll just fuck it. We'll just get it from AD. All right, so you see, we're looking at here. You look at abnormally distributed data. We look at his averages here, and we can just look at And again, he just has the top 5 and then the 10 best laps here. But you look at where we're at in terms of 5 lap, it's still short run. Truex and Logano playing second fiddle to Blaney, with Byron taking a pretty substantial step back. We then look at the average of these. So we're looking at like a 10 lap average here. And you see that it's Blaney. Logano's closer. Truex is still substantially behind. I mean, he's third, if we look at these, 5 individuals or 5 drivers here. Yet again, we're still comparing Ross. Where is Ross in any of this stuff? Like, that's my indication of, hey, I don't want to play Chastain, right? So, oh yeah, we're fighting the subject of them running long. So if we remove the fastest, now this is kind of rudimentary here. This could be labeled as incorrect mumbo jumbo. We check when they did their last run. They all make a change here. They all run their queue, whatever. Let's go ahead and equalize everything. Remove the start of practice. Remove whatever the fuck this is between everybody. We look at these laps here. What are we doing? Now, yet again, it's less laps for Byron and Blaney. Oops. What can I do very quickly to isolate some of this data here? I mean, just the fucking view test here is pretty abysmal from Chastain, because he just falls off a cliff, right? Whereas at least Truex and Logano, when they ran long at the end, it's a slow, substantial change in color versus just the drop off and stuff. Here, we'll add all these goobers back. Where am I at here? Anyway, so going back to we're looking at the slate from a how do we build or whatever. This is a very long-winded way of coming back to, I don't think anybody really has a feel of what's going to happen up top in terms of your primary lap leader, especially from the guys up front. Okay, we're getting conflicting data from at least 3. My stuff, we can use SaberSims and Sheets of stuff. That kind of things are leaning much more differently, where SaberSim loves Logano Truex. My stuff doesn't, or at least my inkling doesn't like him as much. Sheets of stuff, which is usually quite a bit more accurate, still ranks him. And it's not even ranking, right? But you look at where he's projected at on Sheets' projections, and that's, a bit concerning for me. If I was, diehard playing Truex, combine that with, so I have my issues and stuff, combine that with the ownership. Dude, we're trying to solo stuff. We're trying to get different. I would much rather have people who can offer place differential in the Final Four, and or people who are just faster, versus, especially at a place like Phoenix, playing the guy who has ran into a ton of pit lane issues, who has ran into a ton of pit crew issues, and who just hasn't been on fire this year. You combine that with, his last win. Nobody's going to win in his last win. Okay, that's just not going to happen. I realize I haven't even talked about the freaking. This is mine, right? Please be mine. Fuck. I haven't even talked about the value plays. And so what I typically do, we were getting a lot of Priest questions, right? Where's Priest at? I got Priest for 24.45. That is way over here. Where is this mother trucker starting? So I got this guy finishing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got him for 26 today. I got Barry gaining 15 positions. Also, if you typically, what I'll do here at this point is I'll remove the higher, not Blaney and 50. What I'll do at that point is I'll remove the higher projected guys that are going to score well, and then I'll look at, okay, where are these individual drivers on values and stuff, right? because now you've removed all the guys who are going to lead laps or all the all your winners and whatnot. So Priest, I don't even know how expensive Priest is. Take a look really fast. So he's $6,900. Okay, if we're building lineups, whether you're going Logano with Truex, you're going Byron with Blaney, 69 is a rough price range to be in. So for this example, I'll just grab Byron and Blaney, right? I'll grab the two most expensive drivers, right? I'll use Keselowski. Now we haven't talked about Keselowski or anybody, but I'll just throw him into a lineup so we can start seeing what this build is looking like. And we have 64. And I know you're not seeing this, but I'm just talking it out loud. I'll throw in like Kyle Busch or Buescher, because I know both these individual drivers are looking good based on my stuff. So I would have like Byron, Blaney, Keselowski, Buescher. I'm not getting a 6,900 on fucking anybody. Like, I'm not in the 7K range, right? Maybe with Barry, like if you're in the 7K range, I probably prioritize Barry or Suarez. 69 for Priest starting 33rd. Now we look back at what Ryan Priest has been able to do this year. Also, let me know if you guys are enjoying this show, since this is like end of the year, most in detail. Let's just hold nothing back and just go out with a freaking bang. Let me see. So we look back at the Phoenix race earlier in the year. If I'm not mistaken, we had several SHR cars start in the back of the field. If I'm not mistaken, let's take a gander. So we have Barry starting last. We have Priest-start 27th. He finished 23rd in the spring. Now, that's the first thing I go to. Okay, but that may not be the whole story. So let's see how Priest has performed this year when he starts in the back of the field on short track specifically. Now, yet again, we're not looking at where he is in terms of speed. We're not looking at where he is in terms of, being fast or whatever we want to talk about. This is just where he's finished at these short tracks. So let's see. 23rd at Phoenix, started 27th. Richmond started 16th, finished 28th. Martinsville, 22nd to 9th. We look at, where's Gateway? 32nd to 29th. Iowa, 29th to 27th. Loudon, 31st to 11th. We see Richmond, 26th to 25th. We see Martinsville, 8th to 14th. Now, ups and downs. We have seen like two great performances. One at Loudon, one at whatever the heck it was, right? But for the most part, the tracks that I would care about, and this is just kind of eyeballing very quickly, the Richmond races, the flatter tracks. Now, Loudon was nice to see, okay, at the 11, but for the most part, we're seeing him finish in the 20s, okay? So we have that, like, starting thing, right? We then look at where Priest is at in terms of practice stuff, okay? On average, he's 24th best today, right? Just on the entirety of practice. Am I seeing anything? Now, this is where I'm looking at colors. Am I seeing any green, any light green, anything to like indicate? Now, he does run long as fuck, right? But typically, Priest is one of the drivers who usually does longer runs anyway, and that usually doesn't lean out too much. Even on like starting runs like 27 or 27.8, 27.7s, 28.7s, 28.6s, 28.7s as fast as time. Like, we're seeing 6s from other people. I mean, we're seeing 6s from his own teammate. I mean, like, I see a lot of things here that would indicate to me Priest is probably going a lap down, right? Like, Priest is probably going to end up running 26, 27, 23rd, 24th all day, one lap down, potentially two laps down. Him at 6,900. Now, this projection might be a bit too aggressive. Okay, let's give him a bit more, shall we? Okay, so let's give him 23rd. It's still not there. I even gave him a fast lap. Let's take the fast lap away, right? We give him 23rd right now. Wait a minute, no. This is 21st. At 21st, he scored 32 points, right? Gonna get an extra one for going through. So he needs a top 20 to hit value. I don't see him getting that like top 20. I just don't, man. It's like every week I get at like that was like the only irk this entire season. And it boiled over last week when I was like, stop asking me about Priest. Why do people ask about Priest so much, man? Like, what is this guy doing? Am I missing something? Like, what are his fantasy scores as of late? 28, 59, 35, 24, negative 7, 51, 47, 49, 30. Okay, yeah, sure. So we've been playing him at intermediates. We look at the short tracks. Actually, give me a moment. Give me a moment. Why am I wasting my goddamn time here doing this? Cup DK points. GG AD. What a legend. I forgot you had this. So let's look here. We see Phoenix, Bristol, Richmond, Martinsville. Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 27, 41, 2, 48, 16, 19, 52, 23, 27 for Priest at these tracks. That does not scream that I would want to play him primarily at short tracks. Okay. Like that's where I'm at. Whereas you compare it to like somebody like Todd Gilliland, okay? And hell, we could just look at these tracks on a individual level. Who is scoring well at these tracks in comparison to where they are starting today? We have Todd Gilliland starting 32nd. Now, yet again, I don't have the starting positions for these guys, but Gilliland, I'm going to assume, which we can probably go ahead and look through because I don't think Gilliland has been scoring well at all lately. Not scoring well, not qualifying well at all lately. We see a lot of 20s and a lot of 30s, 30 positions and stuff. Let's see. Toyota owners, he started 6th at Richmond. I don't remember the other short tracks names. Joy, Illinois, he started 30. So at Gateway, he starts 35th. Starts 14th at Iowa. Damn, I do not remember the fucking names of these stupid short tracks. I just don't care about them much. But like we look at other people's scorings, like Gillen probably seems like he's going to score pretty well today, right? And he's cheaper than Priest. We look at the rotating 16 car, who practically always starts last. Okay. I mean, even then we have upside of them potentially gaining positions late and stuff. And we see that 16, whether it was AJ, Hemrick, Kraus, whatever. I mean, you got real chance of them scoring like over 30 points in these races if strategy goes their way and stuff. So I just wouldn't play Priest, man. Like why do people ask me about Priest so goddamn much, man? Play Gildan. Oh shit. Let me put all this crap back up there. Like play Gildan. Play, Barry, because he's more expensive, but like Barry makes more sense. Gillen makes more sense if we are trying to fit in as many expensive guys as possible. Who are the value plays that we are going to here? This is my stuff. So we'll see. My stuff loves Kraus. Probably based on his price, not necessarily based on the projection. I think he probably scores closer to 23. But it likes the 4,800. It likes Jimmy Johnson. Well, that's why I like Jimmy Johnson. The guy's $5,400. That's what he should be priced at. Zane Smith. Is it asking me to punt? Really? No, not really. Not asking anything too crazy. So like Smith starting 28, Jimmy Johnson 23rd. We're like punting. I don't really like. I know I saw some Gralla lines up in here: 31st, 35th, 52nd. Hey man, look, here's Todd Gillen. Good Lord. Hey man, here's Jimmy Johnson. Like this is how you should use projections, data, looking at different lineup builds, looking at how different things play out. So typically whenever I'm answering, oh, this guy's good value or this guy's not a good value or whatever, and it's usually a yes or no, because I'm usually already looking through this type of stuff or these types of questions and things like that. What is it? Let's see. I think Ronnie was last one I didn't see. So Ronnie, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the season. I'm glad you won some money. I'm very happy for you. I'm sorry that the contests are already filled, Ryan. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Sterling. I'm hoping the 20 smokes the field and sends. Okay, dude. Be hockey, like, dude. Notice how I haven't even mentioned any of the things that happened last week, and that just what NASCAR is now. Um, and I don't think Bell kills the field, man. What are we seeing from Bell here? What are we seeing from little C Bell? Oh man, that's a bit concerning. Ran 50 laps. He didn't even run long, and the guy's ninth best on average. Ooh boy. Ooh boy. Actually, we might have. Oh, we got the finishes here too. Shit, man. I had to copy and paste this shit into my own stuff after this. We look at C Bell. If I'm not mistaken, these are the finish. Yeah, because he won. No. What is it? Oh, is this the ranking? This is not the finishing. This is DraftKings ranking. Actually, where are you here? I want to see. Who was the best plays this year? Yet again, this is AD's data. I do appreciate him doing this and having this available online. But what I want to see really fast is let's add some columns over here to the right. Best Av DK performer. Perform. Okay, so I want to take the average of these bad boys. Who was the best plays? That's top tens. I'm pretty sure this is the where they performed. Average 16th. If I'm not mistaken, am I just a moron? Let me make sure I'm reading this correctly. We look at we're in alphabetical order. That's what we're looking at here. First at Phoenix, 93. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is just DK point. Yeah, so this is the ranking of where they finished. So let's see who is the best DK player on average week in and week out. We're looking at a grand total of Hamlin, Elliott, Bell, Larson, Reddick, Busher, Keselowski, Blaney, Chastain. So if you were targeting these guys weekends and week outs, which is why I played so much Larson, made the mistake of playing too much Myron, but this is why I played Bell and Hamlin, trying to guess or trying to lean on performances like that. Which is interesting to see who's the worst. Who are the worst guys week in and week out? Harrison Burton, LaJoy, Rala, Cindric, Smith. I think this changed a lot from the start of the year because Smith had a lot of bad starts or a lot of bad performances here. Where was Priest, man? Is Priest even anywhere near the bottom? Am I blind? Oh my lord. Good Lord Almighty. He was the 12th best on average. A lot of 16s. A lot of people averaging 16s, man. That's interesting. Then a huge jump up to Hamlin. What a time. Anyway, back to this slate. What are we even talking about here? Anyone personally, I hope Byron wins, man. Between these four people in this championship race, like how do you root for crybaby Beta Reddick? I personally really dislike Blaney. I just think he's annoying and unlikable. I would prefer Logano, secondly, and then probably Rick Hendrick's son to win the championship. So I'm probably actively rooting for Byron the most of anybody today. But I think it's going to be a shootout between Byron, Blaney. I mean, probably Logano's going to be in there too. I don't see how Reddick wins this at all. That's going to be with three guys starting 25th on back. Let me see what my stuff is showing. I would assume that's what my stuff, like even when because I haven't built my lineup yet, my main one, like I'm probably going to be leaning. Let me look. I am probably gonna have 3 guys starting 25th on back in my lineups, Sterling personally for me. That is so I'm perfectly okay with that. And well, I mean, I do think past this, I think we are probably past DFS discussion since you've seen the projections, since you've seen some of the stuff, since you at least see all this stuff on the screen, and even yet again, whenever I'm looking at exposure on here, this is not my final thing. My real bread and butter is whatever my stuff has on here. I default to that. If people have 1v1s or questions, like this is what I truly trust, especially when I'm building. Because I see some people watch like SaberSim videos and they're like, oh, the sim showed or SaberSim showed 90% on this guy in your exposure. And I'm like, I'm not fucking doing that. And like in NBA or whatever. But I think we are done with the DFS discussion. So I guess we can go ahead and just talk about last weekend and the state of NASCAR if we are so inclined to do so. If you guys would like to hang out and do that, and I guess we will. I know hockey's going off about it. There's a reason why I don't make a lot of like, and I originally wanted to get with Sterling this week to do a video like midweek talking about this weekend and stuff, and then I had stuff go on, and thank God we kind of didn't because that would have just been ranting, at least for me, regarding Martinsville. But like, what does that do anymore, dude? Nobody cares. The series doesn't care. They don't enforce their own rules. Like if I, a lot of people are like, oh, there's been shenanigans like team orders and stuff forever. Well, I was like, yeah, but they didn't used to just not care about it on the radio. It was never this blatant. It was much more calculated, and NASCAR used to punish them a lot more. Like the fact that NASCAR basically just slapped the $100,000 fine or the 50, whatever it was on each individual team, like that's nothing at this stage of like upper NASCAR. Like that is a huge impact on the lower uh series. But when you're looking at the top cup series now, we're racing Lamborghinis. We have millions and millions and millions in corporate dollars and corporate investments in these teams now, because these teams aren't just, I mean, Hendrick, Joe Gibbs, they're still owned by team owners. But you look at Spire, you look at Trackhouse, you look at all these new teams coming in, they're being viewed as franchises, as stables and stuff. So there is no amount of punishment that NASCAR can do to deter this type of stuff when you have conflicting interests between organizations and teams, especially Chevy, as Chevy, the Chevy banner in comparison to, the smaller Ford and the smaller Toyota. Like I would argue the big powerhouse Chevy teams have much more weight and much more power in line, Chevy that is, than small little Toyota and beta little Ford, with their like primary team now being RFK, you know. Um so like we're just gonna see more of this. And until NASCAR like, lays the hammer down or tells people, oh, you can't do this, like we're gonna see just more blatant fixing and stuff. And like, sorry, Bell, I know you deserve to be there, but NASCAR is going to pick and choose what rules they want to enforce, and you wall road sucks to suck. Don't do that, stupid. Like that's all there is there. The Hendrick Chevy bias is out of control. No, it's not. They're playing the game right. Like, what are you talking about? Out of control? They just have more money. They have more backing. Like NASCAR can't do anything about it. That's just how it is now. Okay, that's why it was so important for Chevy to get a fucking car in the Final Four. That's why I think Byron wins the race, dude. I think heads up, Chevy is a much better team than the other two OEMs. But let me look at your stuff really fast. Like, Byron has the personality of a cardboard box brother. Really? Look, the guy started on a computer. He's a sim racer. Okay. And he's not like a weird guy. I don't get weird vibes from Byron at all. Like, a lot of guys in the Cup Series, like I would not trust with my drink, right? Like I would not trust them around like certain people. Byron, I don't worry about that at all. AJ Allmendinger, don't worry about that at all. Other guys, kind of weird. Like I get really, really uncomfortable with some guys, right? In the Cup Series. Like Blaney, dude, I don't trust Blaney at all, dude. Like, you kidding me? I know Sterling brings up because his dad. His dad's Dave Blaney, who just won his final race a couple months back. But like, dude, Sterling, you got to admit, kind of weird to like have your granddad and his race card tattooed on your own stomach. Dude, anybody who's doing that, already a red flag, right? Like Blaney, kind of weird, kind of a little cuckoo, kind of a bit weird. And I just get bad vibes from Blaney. I just don't like I don't like his entitlement. Now you might be like, oh, dude, what do you mean? You like Ty Gibbs? What do you mean there? And I'm like, look, Ty Gibbs knows he's a spoon-fed baby. Okay, we get that. Blaney came from like grassroots and shit, and he's still giving that like personality trait. Like, what is going on there? Logano, grown on me over the years. Everybody hated sliced bread when he first came back. He's like the veteran now, like Logano has done his dues. I can't hate Logano anymore. Okay, he's matured. He's done his own thing. A lot of the field doesn't like him. Like, you never see people hanging out with Logano because he's an asshole. But like, Logano, don't really hate him anymore. Reddick, the fact that he complains and moans and does like every week, it's something. He's crying. And it's not. I'm not saying it's masculine to like cry as a man. I'm not taking that stance. Okay, I'm just saying every week it's something going wrong. It's like I just don't like Reddick's personality. So I'm like, please, God, like wreck him every week. Like every time I play Reddick, like, please, God, either win or flip or do something. And it's like, okay, cool. Yeah, at least he flipped over at Las Vegas. Like, can't root for him. So like by default, and kind of by you can't really see it. Oh, wait, I need to look over here. You can't really see it. And I don't really give a shit about like diecast and stuff. But where are we at? Way up there. My only two diecasts up there are a Stewart diecast and a Byron diecast, because Byron has won me a shitload of money in DFS. So I'm very biased to Byron in that sense. Like, that's probably why I like him so much. But like, let's see. Am I wrong for wanting to jam and Bell? Bell get the lead quit. Well, Jerry, look, we're like an hour in this conversation. I have to go to the start to discuss that. I'm not discussing the slate anymore, especially because we just went in depth at like a a microscopic degree on how to approach the slate. Brother, Byron rides around with the absolute weirdest spot. Is that his fault? What are we talking about, dude? Like, I would kill to have like Adam and Eve sponsoring TrueDFS. Like, I will take any type of sponsorship. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Be happy that he even has sponsors. Like, look at all these clowns in these other series actively promoting. And I'm not saying Liberty University is good, okay, but I'm saying his primary sponsor is DuPont or remnants. What is it? Alexa, Exalta. But like, you look at all the scams, all the shady businesses, like clear money laundering. Like, do you know how much money laundering has to be done in motorsports across the US? Like, no lie, not just in NASCAR, but like, you see people, running races and doing certain things. Like, dude, money laundering in racing is huge. Okay. Not just on like an owner or like a racer standpoint, but like sponsorship standpoint, writing shit off. Like, because Byron has Liberty University as a sponsor, that's like, that's not weird to me. Like, there's so many wild more things going on in NASCAR. Like, the sponsorship was not a big thing. Scammy. Does he even have a degree? Like, why is he going to college? Why are any of these idiots going to college? Like, you were born into racing. Like, does William Byron have a degree? Let me see. Does William Byron have a sister? Why is that the first thing off the fucking thing? Yes, he has a sister. She's married to Blaney, if I do believe. Have a degree. He graduated. He is pursuing a Bachelor of Science in Strategic Communication through Liberty's online program. So not a real degree, right? But he graduated from day school by taking classes through Liberty. He attends Liberty while continuing. So why is that weird? Like, the guy's gone to school for like 10 years through Liberty. Like, why is that weird that he sponsored them? Let's see. He's just currently a student. Like why are these people getting degrees? Like Chandler Smith yesterday, you know? He's got his rich family with the construction company. Like he knows if he ain't racing, he's just going into construction. Like he's good to go. He doesn't need a degree. Like none of these drivers need degrees. This is not the NFL. This is not the NBA. Well, I guess NBA doesn't require you to, but like the NFL requires all players or go through the draft or whatever to have a 4-year degree. Because when you blow your ACL out or you know you get caught going to massage parlors or whatever, and your NFL career is over, like they need you to have a degree because they realize that that's the case. In racing, it's not that at all. Everybody racing already is already from rich families. That's just how it is. Like the degrees mean nothing with these guys. What is this? Oh, good luck, Sterling. Best luck in Sunday Night Football. A type that attends that place is inherently weird. Yeah, it is, but like the rich, I don't know. I don't know what else you're like. I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm not saying Liberty University is good, but like who? There's bigger fish to fry here in in the NASCAR world. Let's see. Oh yeah. Well, no, it's not the Dave Blaney Memorial. It is the other Blaney, their grandfather memorial. Kyle. Past that, all of the stuff boiling over from Martinsville, the fact that 2311 is suing NASCAR, the fact that Tony Stewart pulled out, like I respect Stewart. I mean, I'm like the biggest Kevin Killen Tony fan ever, okay? I loved him before that happens. Like, how do you not? That's like not loving OJ Simpson, right? How could you not be a Tony Stewart fan? Okay. And the fact that Stewart, um, what is it? The fact that Stewart is like getting out because he sees where NASCAR is going. Like, now, can we all agree like NASCAR is not enjoyable anymore? Like, if it was not for DFS, I would not be watching NASCAR. Like, my tweet was straight from the heart when I tweeted, several weeks ago. Like, the best thing you can do as a NASCAR fan is watch races from 15 plus years ago. Like, you just watch this stuff now, and it's like just frustrating. Like how do you enjoy this? Um, so you have, Stewart getting out. You have Richard Childress arguing that he was forced to sign the new agreement, and he probably wishes that he would have just sued NASCAR with 2311 in front row. We have front row and 2311 sued NASCAR to, trying to get more money because even they understand how NASCAR is swindling money from everything. Like you look at how NASCAR makes money from NASCAR itself or like the races and stuff. NASCAR makes a percentage off of TV. NASCAR makes a small percentage from the tickets, but then NASCAR now owns the racetracks that they're racing at. And so you then look at the percentages of tickets and or revenue rather that NASCAR gets. You have off the top from the broadcast, you have off the top from the tickets, you have off the top from merchandise. Okay, so that's like NASCAR's piece. They then own, the tracks, which in turn gets a percentage from the tickets, from the TV, from their own merchandise. Well, NASCAR has their hand in that pocket too, and so all these teams are getting like screwed over by not getting really any money, and NASCAR is basically taking money from like multiple different sources under owning the racetracks, or not owning the racetracks because they own the racetracks, but they're taking it out from the Speedway corporations income as well. They're taking it from like their revenue streams as well. Like, of course, like these teams are mad that stuff is going on. And the only reason they're suing them is because Jordan has enough money to be like, yeah, we can just burn money in court fighting NASCAR to try and get it better. I honestly don't think these teams win in the long term. I think it hurts 2311. I think it hurts front row. I think it hurts the pull that Denny Hamlin has. I think it kind of vilifies them in NASCAR's eyes. Like you're going to see a lot of calls not go their way. You're going to see a lot of same thing with like Bubba Wallace. Like you're going to see a lot of calls not go 2311, not go front row's way because that's just how NASCAR's operating now. Again, all this just off the top of my head because I forgot even like what's going on this week anyway with what the NASCAR teams are doing and stuff. Um, but it's just hard to, like, watch racing and, like, actually care, especially when we're not even crowning the best drivers, right? Like, we can all agree that, okay, yeah, sure, Allgaier won yesterday, but for the most part, the people that go through the playoffs, the people that advance from round to round, maybe not like the first round because we're using like a round of 16 or whatever, but we can all agree that the people fighting for the championship today are only there because they played the correct rules that NASCAR offers now. They played the championship correctly. You know, Blaney, Logano, Reddick, Byron, these guys all performed when they needed to, but they are not the four best drivers. They are not the four best teams in the season. So, like, why does what is it? Um why does I just went blank. I saw oh Malaise. Thanks for watching, Evan. I appreciate it. I know Evan. Evan's a real life friend of mine. I don't remember what I was saying. Either way, it's hard to watch NASCAR now and not have money involved in it. If you're watching it like, oh, like some boomer be like, oh, let's see who wins the championship. That's a hard watch nowadays, right? Um, that'd be really hard to do. Past that, we got 23 minutes or 25 minutes until the slate locks. I appreciate everybody watching my streams this whole year. I appreciate you using my data and or just being here and spending time, pretty much every race, listening to me and viewing my opinions or some form or fashion. I appreciate that. I'll be in some showdown shows with Bobby and Sheets. I'll talk, some NBA stuff here and there. But for the most part, I'll be doing stuff behind the scenes for TrueDFS during the off season. Um, what else? What else? I think that's mainly it. Just a big thank you for being here and best of luck. Enjoy the rest of your football, I guess, if you're watching that. And we'll see who wins this championship. And it'll probably be the most undeserving guy. So that's probably gonna be Blaney or Byron. Past that, thank you guys for being here, and I will see you guys next year, talking duels and et cetera, et cetera. So see you guys later. Bye bye.